The galaxy mocked Earth's first ship until it disappeared. What followed was silence, then chaos, then surrender. One man controlled a vessel with his mind. One mechanic built a weapon no one saw coming. Earth didn't win with strength, it won with the power to rewrite the rules of war. Stay with us to discover how humanity shocked the galaxy, and don't forget to subscribe. The Galactic Empire's command room fell silent for just a moment. Then the laughter began. Dozens of alien officers stood around a massive view screen, watching a shaky video of a strange, rust-colored spacecraft slowly circling near Earth's moon. It looked like it had been scavenged from a scrapyard. Crooked panels, visible piping, parts welded in awkward angles. Smoke trailed from the rear like a wounded animal limping through the void. Did humans build this out of garbage? Chuckled a green-scaled officer with serrated teeth. Is that actual smoke? Another snorted. Wait, are they still using fuel? The room erupted in louder laughter. The absurdity of it, the sheer backwardness of it all, was too much for them to resist. Only one figure remained still. Commander Rethak. He stood at the edge of the crowd, arms folded behind his back, eyes narrow and fixed on the screen. Why are we watching this? He asked sharply. A voice from the back of the room answered through the noise. Because it's real. That's Earth's latest prototype. The laughter faltered slightly. Rethak didn't smile. Send it to High Command, he said. Let them see how weak the humans truly are. But he didn't look away. He just stared at the slow-moving Earthship. What a joke, he muttered. Yet something in his voice didn't quite match his words. Far below, deep under the crust of Earth, inside a quiet research station buried in rock and steel, another group watched the same feat. But here, no one was laughing. They were smiling. The engineers, gathered around their own monitor, nodded to each other as the test craft floated awkwardly through space. It's doing exactly what we wanted, said a tall woman with sharp black hair tied in a knot. Her name was Dr. Kara Sun, the project's lead designer. Looking weak, broken, harmless. You think they saw it? An engineer asked, tapping away at a console. Of course, she replied. Their spies are watching. That was the whole point. In the back of the room, leaning against the wall in a dusty jumpsuit, stood a man who didn't quite fit in. He wasn't a scientist. He wasn't military. Just a mechanic. A quiet one. His name was Mason. He crossed his arms and spoke in a calm, deep voice. Wait for Phase 2. Up in orbit, the prototype ship continued to spiral gently, tumbling almost aimlessly. Empire scanners tracked it without difficulty. One Empire scout ship broke formation and approached. We're going to scan this thing, the pilot said through a bored sigh. Might as well study the trash before they blow themselves up with it. But something was off. The Earthship suddenly stopped moving. No spin. No drift. It just stopped. Perfectly still. Are they powering down? Asked the co-pilot. No, replied the scanner AI. There's still energy. But the signature's changing. On the screen, the ship's dull surface began to shift. The rust vanished. The metal shimmered, sleek and polished. The engines ignited with silent blue fire. And then, just like that, it vanished. Gone from all sensors. What just happened? The pilot screamed. It's gone, the co-pilot yelled. No heat, no signal, nothing. Back on Earth, alarms lit up the underground station. Prototype has entered stealth mode, the AI announced. Signal lost. Dr. Kara raised an eyebrow. Perfect. The cloak works. Mason turned, already leaving the room. Where are you going? Someone asked, jogging after him. He didn't even glance back. To finish the second one. In the Empire's command chamber, the mood had changed. The laughter was gone. Officers shouted over one another. Screens glitched. Radar feeds went blank. Panic bubbled at the edges. Commander Rethak's face had gone pale. Find it. Now. We can't, an officer cried. It's like it never existed. A voice, barely a whisper, spoke from the side of the room. What if that wasn't an accident? Rethak spun on them. What are you suggesting? What if they wanted us to see it? To laugh at it? Silence fell again, this time with weight. In a dark hangar deep beneath Earth's surface, floodlights snapped on. A second ship sat beneath a black tarp. Sleeker, smaller, more organic in design, almost alive. Mason ran his hand over its hull and whispered, "They think this is a game." He looked up at the blinking ceiling lights. They have no idea what's coming. The scout ship's control room was small, cold, and buzzing with confusion. Two alien pilots stared at their instruments in disbelief as a blinking red dot shifted course on their screen. Wait, that can't be right, the pilot murmured, his long blue fingers trembling slightly. The Earthship, it's coming toward us. His co-pilot turned pale. Toward us? It was drifting a moment ago. The dot blinked again, faster now, accelerating. The alien pilot's voice rose in panic. It's speeding up. There were no comms. No warning. No message. The prototype, once mocked for its rust and wobble, now surged directly at them, closing the distance in seconds. Shields up, the co-pilot shouted, fumbling with controls. But they were too late. The Earthship didn't fire a single shot. It disappeared and reappeared behind them. Boom. The scout ship jerked violently, spinning out of control. The lights flickered, consoles exploded in sparks, and every system failed in rapid succession. In less than 10 seconds, it was over. The Earth prototype sped away, untouched. Silent. In the underground base on Earth, tension cracked across the control center like static. Scout ship destroyed, the system AI confirmed. Dr. Kara's son stepped back from the console, her eyes wide. That was faster than expected. An engineer whispered, it wasn't even armed. Mason walked in, grease still on his hands. He didn't need to see the screen. He already knew. They started it, he said. We just finished it. In the heart of the Galactic Empire, the War Council's chamber bathed in red warning lights. Dozens of alien officers from across the galaxy barked over each other. On the map projected above them, a flashing symbol pulsed near the Citroen expanse. This is impossible, one shouted. Commander Rethak stood at the center, fist clenched against the table. It's not impossible, he growled. It's human. Another officer raised a brow. You've studied them? I know their history, Rethak replied. They never show their real power first. They wait. Let you mock them. Let you laugh. But it was just a prototype, someone said weakly. Rethak stared at the screen, unblinking. Not anymore. That was a weapon. Back on Earth, under layers of security and silence, the second ship was nearing completion. Sleek and wingless, it had no visible engines, no lights, and no markings. It looked like a black stone threaded with glowing veins. No one outside the base even knew it existed. Mason stood beside it, hand resting on its smooth surface. We built it to be ignored, he said softly. But now it's time they notice. Dr. Kara joined him, her eyes serious. Is the eye responsive? Mason smiled faintly. It's already awake. Near Mars, Empire warships formed a wall of fire and steel. A show of force. A message. The Admiral's voice crackled across the fleet's comms. Do not engage unless fired upon. But the order came too late. The Earth ship appeared in the center of their formation, unseen, undetected, until it was already inside. How did it breach our shields? One captain yelled. Is it jamming us? No. It's rewriting our codes, another screamed. One by one, the Empire ships lost control of their weapons. Power levels spiked. Targeting systems went blind. Then, a single message appeared across every bridge. Return home or be erased. No one moved. So Earth did. A flash of light. A soundless shockwave. One of the Empire's heaviest destroyers split in half. The rest of the fleet fled, diving into hyperspace like prey scattered by fire. News reached the Empire's capital within minutes. The Empress of the Galactic Empire rose slowly from her obsidian throne. Who controls this prototype? She asked, her voice dangerously quiet. Commander Rethak stepped forward. Earth. But not the Earth we thought we knew. She narrowed her eyes. Then it's time we learn who they really are. On Earth, Mason stood at the base of the second ship. He pressed a panel on its surface. The stone-like vessel pulsed with light, lifted into the air, and hovered, silent, stable. No crew, he whispered. Just purpose. He watched it ascend through the launch tunnel, disappearing into the night sky. Then he turned to Dr. Kara. They think they've seen our prototype, he said. That was just the warm-up. Above Earth, something moved. Fast. Smooth. Silent. It had no windows. No pilot. But deep in Earth's classified core, in a room built with no name, someone opened his eyes for the first time in years. His code name was Pilot Zero. And he was no longer just human. A hiss of escaping vapor drifted through the chamber as the glass capsule opened. Pilot Zero stepped out barefoot, his breath steady in the frigid air. His physique appeared ordinary, muscular, human, but laced across his skin were thin glowing lines, like circuitry embedded into flesh. They pulsed faintly in sync with his heartbeat. Dr. Kara's son stood beside the control console. Are you sure he's ready? She asked, voice calm but tight with restraint. Mason didn't look away from the figure stepping forward. He's been ready, he said. He just needed a reason to wake up. Pilot Zero opened his eyes, stark white, no pupils, glowing with quiet focus. What is the mission? He asked. Mason gave the faintest smile. You are. His name, once, was Captain Joel Reeve. A test pilot lost 5 years ago in a failed experiment, or so the world believed. In truth, Joel had volunteered for something no other human dared, complete neural integration with Earth's most advanced vessel. His body remained on Earth, but his mind could inhabit a ship like a soul wearing armor. No wires. No cockpit. No crew. He was the ship. And now the second prototype had launched. Above Earth, the stone-like vessel hovered in silence. No signal. No trail. No propulsion. Just presence. Then it moved. Without warning, without noise. In the war room beneath the surface, Joel stood completely still, eyes closed, unmoving, but in his mind, he was elsewhere. I can see them, he whispered. Who? Dr. Kara asked. The Empire. Their new formation. They're watching. Far across space, near Jupiter, the Galactic Empire had assembled a wall of warships, massive cruisers, carriers, destroyers. They floated in perfect strategic alignment, each weapon primed, each captain ready. We wait, Commander Rethak ordered. If Earth attacks, we respond. But their sensors were blind. There's nothing on the scope, one officer reported. Rethak stared out into the stars, expression unreadable. That's the problem, he said. They don't want to be seen. Suddenly, One of the ships flickered. Then another. Then all of them. We're being hacked. Someone screamed. The main display flashed with 2 words. I'm here. Back on Earth, Joel's voice remained eerily calm. I see their ships. I feel their metal. Their energy. Their design. Their weaknesses. Target lock? Mason asked. Dr. Kara stepped in sharply. No. We're not here to start a war. Joel opened his glowing eyes. They already started it, he said. I'm just finishing it. An Empire warship fired, just a test beam, into the darkness. Nothing hit. But something answered. The reply was not a missile, not a laser. It was a wave of bent gravity, compressed, focused, and unleashed like a slingshot of invisible force. The warship split down the middle. No fire. No sound. Just clean, terrifying dissection. Panic spread through the remaining ships. There's no attacker, a captain screamed. Nothing on radar. Then, for just 1 second, they saw it. A black shape, smooth, veinlet, gliding through their formation like a ghost. And then it vanished. Back in the base, Mason stood by the observation port, watching the stars. It's working, he said. Dr. Kara didn't share his confidence. Maybe too well. Mason turned toward her. You knew what he was when we built him. You can't control a storm once it started. In deep space, Joel, Pilot Zero, stood perfectly still in a sealed chamber. His physical body never moved, but his mind raced across the Empire's network like wildfire. They laughed at our first ship, he said to no one in particular. Let's see if they're laughing now. Across the galaxy, the Empire's highest military council gathered in emergency session. This is absurd, one general said. A single planet cannot undo centuries of order. But another general didn't laugh. He leaned forward. Do you know what Earth did in their own wars? He asked quietly. They didn't test weapons on enemies. They tested them on themselves. Silence. He continued. They poisoned their skies, burned their lands, fought for flags. They are not peaceful. They are just quiet, before the storm. And right then, Earth's second ship slipped into enemy space, cloaked, 1,000 light-years away, inside the Empire's most secure station. A black hole station. A fortress built at the edge of known physics. Untouchable. Or so they believed. The Empire's High Council chamber hovered above a spinning black hole, its gravity-bent horizon barely held at bay by exotic physics and ancient failsafes. It was a place of final decisions, reserved only for the most powerful minds of the Galactic Empire. Dozens of species filled the vast chamber, cloaked admirals, crystalline diplomats, flame-bodied strategists. At the head of the table, seated beneath the Empire's obsidian crest, was the Empress herself. We are losing to a single planet, she said slowly. Explain. General Korvac, tall and moss-green with deep-set golden eyes, rose from his seat. His face was unreadable, but his voice was iron. We treated them like farmers, not fighters, he said. Laughter trickled through the room. They were farmers before they built that toy ship, one delegate sneered. Korvac didn't smile. Before they built ships, they built wars. Their planet burned under nuclear fire before they ever reached the stars. They tested every weapon on themselves. They perfected pain. He leaned forward. They're not what we thought. They're not soft. They're controlled. The room fell silent. The Empress nodded once. Then we made a mistake. Outside, in the void near the black hole, something moved. Not a ship. A ripple. Space itself flexed, and from that flex, a shadow appeared. Earth's second vessel had arrived, cloaked, silent, utterly undetected, right inside the Empire's most secure zone. It wasn't supposed to be possible, but it was there. Inside the war room on Earth, alarms began to blink. Joel stood in place, his breath calm, his eyes glowing faintly. I'm at the station, he whispered. Mason turned sharply. Already. Dr. Carr paled. That's where their council is. Are you sure? I can feel them, Joel said. They're planning something. Something big. Inside the council chamber, General Korvac stepped to the holomap. This is no longer about ships or strength, he said. It's about how they think. He pressed a control. Images flickered into existence above the table, Earth's history. World wars. Mushroom clouds. Civil strife. Poverty turned into power. Chaos refined into discipline. They don't just fight enemies, Korvac said. They fight themselves. And they win. Silence reigned again. Then the air shifted. A soft vibration passed through the floor. Lights dimmed for half a second. And then, a black shape appeared outside the council station. The Empress stood up. What is that? Defenses are down, someone whispered. Shields are gone, said another. Korvac's display went blank. And then, across the Empire's entire network, a voice echoed. We were mocked. Now you'll listen. It wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. It was human. The ship didn't fire. It didn't deploy bombs. Instead, it began rewriting. Doors opened by themselves. Alarms blared with no cause. Fighters forgot their flight paths. Missiles turned around mid-flight. Fleet maps corrupted. Ships lost names. Coordinates unraveled. Pilot Zero was redefining physics. Rewriting code at the speed of thought. On Earth, Mason entered the chamber where Joel's body stood motionless. Are you okay? He asked. Joel's lips barely moved. I'm fine. Dr. Kara rushed in behind him. They're panicking. Half their fleet just retreated. Joel's voice was distant. They had a choice. Inside the Empire's black hole station, chaos erupted. Lights died. Gravity fluctuated. Commands were lost mid-sentence. The Empress turned to Korvik. What do we do? Korvik stared at the blank screen. He didn't answer. Because there was no answer. Only a countdown. 3, 2, 1. Darkness. No explosion. No fire. Just offline. Every system. Every vault. Every defense. Gone. Silenced by one man inside one ship, built by a world they had laughed at. No one escaped. No message got out. Only the void remained, and in its cold silence, the Empire finally felt fear. Across the galaxy, whispers became waves. The blackout of the Empire's most secure station, without a single shot fired, spread like wildfire through comms networks, smugglers' tales, and the terrified testimonies of retreating crews. Entire fleets froze mid-route. Colonies went dark. Soldiers refused orders. Some ships turned and fled. Others simply disappeared. Something had shifted in the structure of fear itself. On Earth, beneath a forgotten mountain, a door opened that no one outside the project even knew existed. Hidden behind fake walls, protected by biometric locks keyed to only 3 living humans, it led not to a bunker, not to a vault, but to the real command center. Joel Reeve, still recovering from his mental connection to the enemy station, walked slowly toward the reinforced gate. His skin still glowed faintly beneath his shirt. The neural lines etched into his body pulsed in time with distant signals only he could hear. Dr. Kara walked beside him. Her voice was quiet. Is this really it? Joel nodded. The place where it all started. Inside the room, silence ruled. No alarms. No war maps. Just hundreds of screens, some flat, some curved, some made of transparent data glass that shimmered under their gaze. And on those screens, not just Earth. Empire outposts. Hidden fleets. Spy relays. They'd mapped everything. Director Harland, unseen in public for 27 years, stood in the shadows of the room. He watched them enter without expression. They laughed at our prototypes, he said. Good. That was the plan. Dr. Kara turned slowly. How long have you known? Harland's voice was tired but sharp. Since the first Empire drone passed Saturn. That wasn't reconnaissance. It was a test. Joel stepped toward the central console, his eyes scanning the array. There's something we haven't shown them yet. Kara narrowed her eyes. You mean Phase 2? Joel shook his head. No. Phase 3. Meanwhile, in the outer Empire zones, panic had turned to disarray. On board the 7th Armada's flagship, Commander Threll paced with heavy footfalls. How did Earth destroy a station? Without destroying it, he demanded. They didn't, replied a shaken officer. They rewrote it. What does that mean? The station still exists, but it now obeys Earth's code. Threll turned pale. They control it? Yes, sir. And it's broadcasting a message. The central screen blinked. Just one line. Surrender is survival. Back in the war room, Joel activated a sealed panel. 3 glowing spheres emerged from the floor, cored in black, laced with blue. Not bombs. Not weapons. Data. Kara stepped back, stunned. Are those? Joel nodded. Backups of every Empire AI, every star map, every secret file. But how? Harland answered. When they laughed. Joel turned to the screen. We've shown them power. Now we show them truth. He pressed a button. Across the galaxy, Earth transmitted a new message. We didn't come to destroy. We came to stop the ones who do. Ships began to change course. Not away from Earth. Toward it. Empire defectors. Scientists. Whole species tired of being ruled by fear. They sent requests not of war. Of peace. Because Earth had proven something unprecedented. They didn't need fleets. They didn't need to shout. They had knowledge. They had patience. And they had one ship. In the war room, a young operator rushed in. Sir, over 200 ships just sent diplomatic codes. Peace signals. Joel looked at Kara. She smiled. It worked. But Director Harland didn't smile. He stared at the map. Quiet. Joel noticed. What is it? Harland didn't look away. They'll never forget what we did with one ship. Joel nodded slowly. Good. Then a new sound, a hollow thump against the silence of the chamber. A knock. But not from Earth. From orbit. An unknown frequency. Direct transmission. Every screen flickered, then stilled. Even Harland froze. A voice came through. It wasn't human. It was old. Cold. Heavy with time. I saw what you did. I warned the Empire not to mock Earth. But they didn't listen. And just like that, the game changed. Again. At the edge of the galaxy, a forgotten signal tower, silent for over 1,000 years, lit up. No one knew who had built it. No one had remembered why. Until now. On Earth, inside the war room's main chamber, Joel stared at the screen. The voice had returned, slower this time. Not distorted, measured. I saw what you did. I warned them. They mocked your ship. Dr. Kara's fingers raced across the console. Can we trace it? No, said the junior officer beside her. It's bouncing through black zones, dead space sectors, gravity wells, radiation fields. We've never mapped most of them. Director Harland stepped forward, his face pale for the first time. Play the rest. The voice continued. Long ago, the Empire found us. We were builders, thinkers, peacekeepers. They erased us, or so they believed. But now Earth has done what we could not. You broke their pride. So we offer this. An alliance. The room fell into stunned silence. Joel raised an eyebrow. They want to work with us? Kara frowned. Or they want something from us. The screen blinked again. A map appeared. Not just any map. It showed the Empire's original homeworld, coordinates erased from every known database, stricken even from Empire lore. A place thought myth. Director Harlan leaned in. They just gave us the key to everything. Joel narrowed his eyes. Why now? The voice returned, deep and final. Because Earth just became a symbol. And symbols attract attention, both good and very, very bad. And across the galaxy, the stars trembled. In systems thought long dead, new ships appeared, sleek, dark, silent. 3 alien species, long believed extinct, came back online. Not to attack, to listen. They were hearing the fall of an empire and the rise of something new. In the Empire's highest command chamber, chaos reigned. Holograms blinked. Generals screamed. Half the fleets were unresponsive. Strategic nodes had gone dark. No one answered distress calls. Earth must be punished, someone roared. But one voice cut through it all. High Lord Vanek, the Empire's oldest surviving counselor. He spoke softly. We mocked Earth's scrap ships. He paused. And Earth rewrote our future. Back in Earth's war room, Joel turned to Director Harlan. What now? Harlan didn't respond. Instead, he walked to the center of the chamber and activated a final command. The floor opened. A black orb rose, smooth, pulsing with slow blue light. Dr. Kara took a step forward. What is that? Joel recognized it instantly. Is that? Harlan nodded. Project Genesis. It wasn't a ship. It wasn't a weapon. It was a plan. Not to replace the Empire's firepower, but to replace its entire system. To end rule by fear, by war, by pride. But to enact it, Earth had to reach the Empire's true seat of power, the hidden world shown on the map, and survive long enough to deploy the Genesis protocol. Suddenly, alarms screamed across the chamber. Unknown fleet entering outer system, the AI reported. Joel was already turning to the screen. Empire. No. Ally. No. Then the image sharpened. One ship. Black as midnight. Featureless. Moving without propulsion. Not broadcasting. Not responding. It didn't appear on radar. It just was. Above Earth, it came to a halt. The war room fell silent. Dr. Kara typed commands furiously. No response. No ID. No signature. It's just watching. Then the screens all went dark. And a single symbol appeared. Not a word. Not a language. A spiral cracked down the center. Director Harlan stepped back. His voice broke. Not them. Joel turned. You know what it is. Harlan didn't speak. But everyone understood. This wasn't over. Earth had won the battle. But the war? It was only beginning. The black ship didn't attack. It didn't speak. It just waited. And in that waiting, something deeper stirred. Joel stared at the spiral symbol. It wasn't just a design. It was a memory. A warning. Director Harlan whispered, we were never supposed to wake them. Who are they? Joel asked. Harlan finally answered. The ones the Empire feared before it became the Empire. And outside, the stars began to bend. Not because of engines. Not because of ships. But because space itself was twisting. The real war had never been Earth versus the Empire. It was truth versus silence. And now, silence was breaking. The black ship remained motionless above Earth, like a tear in the sky. No light reflected off its hull. No engine flared. It simply loomed, silent, vast, unknowable. Then it spoke. Not with sound. Not with signal. With feeling. Inside Earth's war room, every person froze. Their thoughts fractured for a moment, overtaken by a cold, pressing pressure. It wasn't a voice. It wasn't language. It was memory, and it wasn't theirs. Joel staggered, eyes wide, breathing shallow. He saw visions not from his own life, galaxies dying, not from war, but from doubt. Entire civilizations unraveling because trust was replaced by fear. Empires that fell not to weapons, but to whispers. Dr. Kara clutched her head, her voice trembling. They don't destroy with fire. Joel finished for her, voice hoarse. They destroy with fear. The spiral wasn't a symbol. It was a method. A mark of collapse, not imposed, but seated. Back at the Empire's final stronghold, madness took hold. Commanders turned on each other. Navigators sent fleets into black holes. Whole legions began firing on friendly vessels. Something had gotten in, not through their shields, but into their minds. One admiral screamed, thrashing as his own crew locked him into the command chair. They're in our heads. On Earth, Joel stood tall again, breath steady, eyes glowing brighter. We can't let this reach us, he said. Harlan nodded grimly. That's why we built the prototype ship the way we did, not just strong, but silent. Hidden from psychic networks. Immune to suggestion. Then, without warning, a pulse erupted from orbit. But not from the black ship. From Earth. The first prototype, long thought dismantled or forgotten, returned. But it had changed. Sharper. Faster. Glowing with new patterns along its hull that no one had programmed. Joel took a step back. That's not how we built it. Kara stared, her voice barely a whisper. It upgraded itself. The ship sent one message across Earth's networks. I have seen the danger. I was built for this. Then it moved. Faster than any human I could track. It spiraled once around the black ship, then again, and vanished. For 3 long seconds, nothing happened. Then, a wave rippled through space. No sound, no heat, no fire. Just absence. The black ship flickered, like a dying reflection in a cracked mirror. And then it was gone. Erased. The spiral symbol on every screen shattered, pixel by pixel, into digital dust. And the silence, the pressure, the cold alien dread, lifted. Everyone in the war room gasped as if surfacing from deep water. They could breathe again. Director Harlan stared at the blank screen and smiled. For the first time in days, Joel leaned on the console, heartbeat slowing. Kara wiped her eyes. They weren't just survivors now. They were protectors. Far away, aboard the Empire's final flagship, a broken general received the last transmission Earth sent through the void. It was a whisper, but it echoed like thunder in the minds of those who heard it. Earth did what we could not. They faced the silence and spoke louder. The general turned to the stars. And for the first time in Empire history, he issued a transmission with no conditions, no demands, no pride. We surrender. On Earth, the skies erupted with light, not from weaponry, but from celebration. The truth was out, not just about victory, but about the engineers, mechanics, and pilots who had quietly rewritten galactic history. A single ship, mocked by the universe, feared by ancient empires, and now respected by everyone. That night, Joel stepped outside for the first time since the mission began. The air was cool. The stars were clear. He didn't feel like a hero. He felt small. And in that smallness was power. Because Earth hadn't won by strength. It had won by thinking differently. By fighting smarter. By daring to believe that weakness, when understood, could become the deadliest force in the galaxy. The spiral was gone. But echoes remained. Not in space. Not in battlefields. But in the quiet corridors of thought across the galaxy. Something fundamental had shifted. The balance of fear had broken. For the first time in known history, Earth had become the axis around which empires recalculated their existence. And Earth was quiet. Not boastful. Not demanding. Just present. Inside the hidden war room beneath the mountain, final protocols began to shut down. The black orb of Project Genesis pulsed gently in the center of the room like a sleeping heart. Director Harlan stood before it with Joel and Dr. Kara at his side. We did it, she whispered. Joel didn't answer. He was watching the screen, where hundreds of new signals blinked in, messages from across the stars. Peace offers. Alliances. Requests for understanding. Even old enemies had begun to transmit blue-lit signals of surrender. But it was more than surrender. It was respect. Because Earth hadn't just survived. It had taught. Across the stars, stories spread. How humans had built a ship from scrap and baited the Empire with weakness. How their second ship moved through shadows like a god. How one man with glowing skin had turned the most powerful station in the galaxy into silence. And then, how that same world faced something ancient, and instead of flinching, responded. Joel turned from the monitors and looked at Harlan. We're not ready for what comes next. Harlan nodded. We never are. But we are willing, Kara added. Harlan placed a hand on the orb. Project Genesis isn't just a plan, he said. It's a promise. A future we build, Joel said, not out of fear, but out of memory. Outside the mountain, the stars shined brighter now. The air buzzed with a strange, electric calm. And far across the galaxy, in ruins where once the Empire ruled, others watched. Some with awe, some with fear, some with intent. Because Earth had changed the game. And change always attracts challengers. Inside a command center on a world no human had yet named, a new figure stepped out of the shadows. Slender, non-humanoid, metallic eyes gleaming beneath a silver crest. Its voice was hollow, reverberating across the chamber. They faced the silence, it said, and survived. An assistant bowed low. Shall we begin observation? The being stared at the screen where Earth floated in the center. No, it said. We begin preparation. Back on Earth, Joel stood atop the base's watchtower, eyes fixed on the sky. Kara joined him, arms folded against the cold. We're a symbol now, she said. Symbols shine, Joel replied. And eventually, something always tries to snuff them out. And when they do, Joel smiled faintly. We'll build something new. Above them, high in orbit, the first prototype ship still drifted, silently watching. Its systems, fully autonomous now, ran diagnostics not just on space, but on intention. And deep inside its hull, a final message blinked, never broadcast, just stored. I was born broken. They laughed. Now I am listening. Let them try again. The galaxy had mocked Earth's scrap ships. But Earth had rewritten the rules. With silence, with speed, with patience, with one ship. And now the stars would never laugh again.